Imagination is more important than knowledge. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existence. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. Peace cannot be kept by force, it can only be achieved by understanding. Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. You can't blame gravity for falling in love. I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious. The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge but imagination. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. A question that sometimes drives me hazy: am I or are the others crazy? Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. The greatest scientists are artists as well. Any intelligent fool can make things bigger and more complex. It takes a touch of genius, and a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction. The measure of intelligence is the ability to change. It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. I never think of the future, it comes soon enough. All our science, measured against reality, is primitive and childlike, and yet it is the most precious thing we have. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Two things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the universe. Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. A human being is part of a whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. Gravitation is not responsible for people falling in love. The most incomprehensible thing about the world is that it is comprehensible. You have to learn the rules of the game. And then you have to play better than anyone else. The difference between genius and stupidity is that genius has its limits. The only source of knowledge is experience. Everything that can be counted does not necessarily count, everything that counts cannot necessarily be counted. A table, a chair, a bowl of fruit and a violin, what else does a man need to be happy? We still do not know 1,000th of 1% of what nature has revealed to us. Time and space are modes by which we think and not conditions in which we live. The significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. Intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. The only reason for time is so that everything doesn't happen at once. The best way to cheer yourself up is to try to cheer somebody else up. What is right is not always popular, and what is popular is not always right. If you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. Once we accept our limits, we go beyond them. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. In order to be an immaculate member of a flock of sheep, one must above all be a sheep oneself. Try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. Human beings must have action, and they will make it if they cannot find it. Life without playing music is inconceivable for me. It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. The most powerful force in the universe is compound interest. To punish me for my contempt for authority, fate made me an authority myself. All religions, arts and sciences are branches of the same tree. Science can flourish only in an atmosphere of free thought. I do not teach my students, I create conditions for them to learn. The whole of science is nothing more than a refinement of everyday thinking. You can't help but notice that you're part of something larger than yourself. A calm and modest life brings more happiness than the pursuit of success combined with constant restlessness. Do not worry about your difficulties in mathematics, I can assure you mine are still greater. E equals mc squared may be the most famous equation in history, but it's also just a simple statement about how mass and energy are interchangeable. Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. All that is valuable in human society depends upon the opportunity for development accorded the individual. There are two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. No amount of experimentation can ever prove me right. A single experiment can prove me wrong. What counts cannot always be counted. What can be counted does not always count. A scientist investigates that which already is. Engineer creates that which has never been. If we knew what it was we were doing, it would not be called research, would it? The secret to creativity is knowing how to hide your sources. Men marry because they are tired, women marry because they are curious, both are disappointed. Everything has changed except our way of thinking. It has become appallingly obvious that our technology has exceeded our humanity. Sometimes one pays most for things one gets for nothing. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. A happy man is too satisfied with the present to dwell too much on the future. You never fail until you stop trying. The most important decision you make is to be in a good mood. We all know that light travels faster than sound. That's why certain people appear bright until you hear them speak. The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. The pursuit of truth and beauty is a sphere of activity in which we are permitted to remain children all our lives. To raise new questions, new possibilities, to regard old problems from a new angle requires creative imagination and marks real advances in science. It is better to be a lion for a day than a sheep all your life. The mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size. If the facts don't fit the theory, change the facts. There are no great discoveries and advances, as long as there is an unhappy child on earth. The only thing that interferes with my learning is my education. The greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitude. I never lose. I either win or learn. A man should look for what is, and not for what he thinks should be. Intuition is a very powerful thing, more powerful than intellect, in my opinion. The search for truth is more precious than its possession. He who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe is as good as dead, his eyes are closed. I believe that every human mind feels pleasure in doing good to another. The mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it isn't open. Common sense is the collection of prejudices acquired by age 18. Joy in looking and comprehending is nature's most beautiful gift. All our science, measured against reality, is primitive and childlike, and yet it is the most precious thing we have. Without deep reflection one knows from daily life that one exists for other people. Nothing will end war unless the people themselves refuse to go to war. A clever person solves a problem. A wise person avoids it. If we want our children to be intelligent, we should teach them how to think, not what to think. I think and think for months and years, 99 times, the conclusion is false, the 100th time I am right. It's all relative. Every great scientific achievement is but the victory of a carefully constructed illusion. To know what people really think, pay attention to what they do, rather than what they say. Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. Life can be understood only in retrospect, but it must be lived forwards. It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer.